If you went into this movie and were annoyed that it was a goofy, fun spy spoof, then you might be clinically retarded or a Democrat. There are only three types of people who hate this film: people who don't like fun, people who don't like Matthew Vaughn movies, and fans of pedo things. This movie is an enjoyable roller coaster ride of a spy film. If you were expecting anything highbrow, then how? You watched the trailer, right? You know who Matthew Vaughn is. Kingsman, right? So, how anyone expected anything different or are reviewing this movie as if it were Requiem for a Dream is as dumb as using a blender to cut your toenails. Let's be clear, the critics don't count. The 35% Rotten Tomatoes score, you can ignore that. I hope you always do anyway. But why are they really giving it such a low score? Well, is it surprising when a movie comes out without gratuitous violence, swearing, degenerate filth, and no political and ideological messaging, including a cast that, for once, doesn't tick the diversity boxes for the sake of it, that these critics hate this with a passion? This is an anathema to their biases and agendas. Disagree all you like, but how many times have we seen this pattern? Even blatant complaints and a lack of social commentary or woke tick boxes. These are the same critics that applaud paedophile propaganda film Poor Things. Just let that sink in and decide who you want to be standing behind. So, what about audience though? That's the barometer, right? Right? Well, I thought so until this. Which is extremely troubling. Argylle currently floats around the late 60s, early 70s mark, which would certify the movie is fresh by Rotten Tomatoes standards. I can, however, understand this conflicting score entirely. If you don't like Matthew Vaughn-style films, you won't like this. If you don't like the Kingsman movies, you won't like this. It's fine. He is a polarizing director. I, however, love it. You might not. Cool. That's fair. I won't convince you. Won't convince you at all. I would even say if you think this is a 6 or 7 out of 10 movie, I would totally agree and say, I can see why you might think that. But spoilers, I don't think this is a 6 or 7 out of 10 movie. I think this is one of the most fun times I've had in the cinema in recent memory. This film has its tongue firmly in its cheek. Everyone in it seems like they're having a great time, and it just keeps making you smile over and over with its quirkiness, creativity, and just weirdly to say for a Matthew Vaughn film, family-friendly thrill ride. Yes, as I just said, this is one you can take your kids to, and I'm sure they'll love it. As Matthew Vaughn is a big kid, the director is clearly embracing his inner child when he writes and directs these movies. He is like the 10-year-old boy who bounces up and down excitedly saying, wouldn't it be cool if this happened and then that happened? And you might argue that, well, Zanmato, you just proved this movie has the intellect and depth of a 10-year-old. And I will just say, fuck off. Seriously, lighten up. Embrace your inner kid for once. Lord knows the world needs to calm down a little bit. Anyway, the trademark action from Kingsman without the excessive blood splatters is back. It's great, it's stylized, it's cool and engaging. Throw in some clever shots whereby the lead character, author of the book Argylle, Ellie Conway, repeatedly hallucinates seeing Sam Rockwell's character Aidan become Argylle, played by Henry Cavill, and these action sequences become a lot more visually dynamic and creative. There are some straight out of a video game moments. The kid moments you go, they're not gonna, she's not gonna, no, surely this isn't going to happen. And it does. And then you cringe. Then you laugh. You smile. And finally, you appreciate it. One smoky sequence gave me goosebumps at the choreographed creativity, the emotional creativity, and the visual creativity combined at the right moment in the film to properly enhance the payoffs of the absolutely bonkers plot. And the plot is zanier than a conversation. with Joe Biden, but its many twists and turns actually hold up plot hole-wise. Which is even more surprising because this movie borrows heavily from an equally mad and brilliant Arnold Schwarzenegger movie that rhymes with Blow-Tall Seagull. The general plot is Ellie Conway, a writer, suddenly becomes embroiled in a Black Ops division scheme to capture and force her to write more chapters of her books, as she seems to have the powers of precognition when she writes. Upon meeting Aiden, an actual spy, she is then rescued by him before the division captures her, and from there they try to seek answers and to bring down the division for good. This is what you see in the trailer. What really happens? Well, go watch it and find out. It really is a film with multiple twists and turns, and they are mad at times, but they're all set up perfectly. This isn't just springing nonsense on you, it all fits within the ludicrous world of the film. It's clearly a spoof. It isn't meant to be serious, but this film makes more sense than most Bond movies. So if you don't bat an eye at Bond, don't be batting them at this. The twists are really enjoyable, and they just slowly unpeel the layers until we get to the action-packed finale. The cast is fantastic. Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell are fantastic as the leads and have great chemistry together. Super likable and purposefully average-looking, it creates the perfect dichotomy between what Bryce's character imagines in his spy novels, Henry Cavill and John Cena's characters, versus the reality of espionage she encounters. Henry Cavill turns up many times, as mentioned, as a kind of hallucination, so you won't be shortchanged if you thought he is simply in it as a cameo. Samuel L. Jackson, Bryan Cranston, Dua Lipa, Richard E. Grant. The film is stacked with familiar faces, and they all ham it up perfectly. It's a spoof just in case you're still expecting Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy. If so, there are doctors who can help with your condition. The film even has its wholesome and heartwarming moments. It has everything you want in a feel-good comedy spy movie. It may not be the most hilarious film, but it has its moments. Ultimately, the experience of just sitting back, letting go, and having a good time is what makes this movie one to watch and just enjoy. The writing is sharp, like any Matthew Vaughn movie, the characters well developed, and the quippiness isn't irritating like Marvel, and the movie also interlaces fun Bond-like dialogue and moments of spy schlock throughout. Vaughn knows what he's doing. This is his playground, and it's clear in every element of the film. He gets spy movies, and he gets how to exaggerate and take the tenets of this genre to its silly extremes. In terms of music, it's Matthew Vaughn. I'm repeating myself, but like Tarantino, you know what the soundtrack is going to be like. Like any stylized director, you know what's coming. Whilst we do get some Bond-esque orchestral moments to support the spy theme, we also get the Vaughn juxtaposition of contrasting music to the many frenetic action sequences. Drawing on soul, Motown and contemporary tracks for these sequences, they are carefully curated, and in every sequence, it's the perfect soundtrack to enhance these scenes. We've seen it before, and we don't fucking care. It's just exacerbating the fun and making us smile. The CGI, though, does not make me smile. It is awful, like Black Panther Justice League bad. Otherwise, the movie is very colourful and bright. It suits the tone of the movie. I really don't give a shit about the cat. The CGI sucks for the cat. The cat character is kind of annoying. If you like cats, then cool, but I like cats, and I wasn't really enthused by seeing a CGI version for the entire movie. This isn't the greatest film of all time. It's not even the greatest spy spoof of all time. But what this is one, another classic Matthew Vaughn film, and two, and more importantly, a really fun, wholesome, and creative joyride, which aims to be a bit goofy, a bit silly, and just simply make you smile. So, why don't you go and just smile for once?